Cool. We seem to be live, everyone. So welcome everybody to this very special webinar. This is something that we're doing for the first time with this really interesting company called 50 Skills. Interesting for lots of reasons, not only because they are an Icelandic business, which is fantastic to see innovation diffused across Europe and the rest of the world. Great to see businesses emerge from different parts, but also because they have got a really interesting proposition in terms of democratizing automation. Would that be fair to say, Kristjan?
Definitely. Great intro. So thanks for kicking this off, Hung. So my name is Kristjan. I'm the co-founder and CEO at 50 Skills. We're basically helping companies map out their processes, easily integrate AI, and always keeping humans in the control of how they use it. This may be a tiny bit hung on my background for people that haven't seen me on the screen before. I've been working with startups for 15 years, running accelerators, joining first fast-growing teams, hiring a ton of people, and figuring out what tech actually works in getting things done. And I've learned a lot of things about like choosing tools, building workflows, and cutting through vendor hype. And today, like the hype is all about AI. Like I think it's really hard to go on our socials without seeing some new amazing things you can do with AI and all the dialogues around it. So the talk today is really about sharing 4 straightforward ways of how TA, talent acquisition teams, can confidently get started with it. And I'm really hoping that anyone watching will be able to walk away with some really practical tips to get started right away.
Fantastic stuff, Kristjan. And before we kick off, by the way, in depth, let's just make sure audio visuals okay. So folks, everyone's chatting here on the chat stream. Wonderful to see you all there. Just want to make sure you can hear and see me okay, and see Kristjan as well. Let us know in the comments whether the audio and visual is fine. We should also be broadcasting this on a number of LinkedIn Lives. If you're watching this on my LinkedIn or Kristjan's LinkedIn or anybody else's LinkedIn, let us know in the comments whether you can hear and see us okay there as well. Okay, fantastic. Oh, we have Marina from Spain. How are you? How is the electricity, Marina? Give us an update. What an amazing scenario we saw sort of over the last 24 hours. Incredible, and also alarming. But hopefully everything is okay. Back to normal. Very good to hear that. But yeah, interesting thing to observe and to learn from. Okay, everyone can hear us okay. This is fantastic. Kristjan, let's kick off with this. Sort of our conversation emerged when you mentioned that you had put some thought into how recruiters typically encountered artificial intelligence and how we think we're going to work with it in future. Can you give us an overview of that sort of that view, and then we can go into maybe present a little bit about it and dive in a bit deeper?
Yeah, 100%. So basically, the world that we live in now has changed a lot already due to AI. There's about 500 million people using ChatGPT alone, like 500 million people. And that's on a weekly basis. And there's even more if you look at a higher number. That's just the ChatGPT product. That's roughly about 1 in every 10 humans on the planet using just that single product. And the usage is going up dramatically. So I think there was 2 weeks ago, we had a TED Talk with Sam Altman online sharing that the usage of the people using it had something like doubled on a week-by-week basis. So that's already there. It's crazy. Most of the people watching, you're probably using AI on a regular basis, kind of using in a chat-based way. But I think there's often like this confusion about like, what do we mean when we talk about AI exactly? And I think it's like you have these companies that are building all these models. Then you have these models being used by products that these companies have also built, as well as other products that other people have built. But most of the time, we're talking about the same models built by the same companies. And now there's endless amounts of use cases that are there. And we've sort of defined 4 different ways that we believe all the folks in TA will be using AI moving forward. You don't have to pick one. You could pick more than one moving forward. And what I'd like to do is just kind of share my screen a little bit and just kind of give you a quick overview of what these 4 are and go a little bit deeper into some of those examples. So that's okay. So do I have the screen share already, Hung? Just click the %, I guess. Here it is.
Yep.
Just give me 1 sec here. So You should be able to see my screen right now, right?
Correct. Yep. See, no
But if I
problem.
just,
Perfect.
and I'm not going to go through this like slide by slide. You kind of can see the kind of growth of the chat GPT here, and there's already stuff happening in the TA space, right? So if I just kind of show you here, like this is an example of a website you can go to today. If you're an applicant, you can go to lazyapply.com, pay a little bit of money, and it's going to apply for a bunch of jobs on your behalf, so that you can just send an AI agent out there, and he's going to go and apply for various jobs at various roles that fit you, and let you know as an applicant whenever you're ready to learn more. And this is already here. There's already a ton of different websites offering these kind of services. So this, like, the change is already here. People are already using it. And I've had talks with a ton of people in the space who are sharing that they're seeing something like upwards of 2 times, 3 times, 10 times more applications coming in. So this is the de facto. And if I kind of go into this thing I was sharing before, you have these companies building these models and these products, but the types of products, it kind of splits into 4 ways that you can use them with AI. And one of them is you can use chat-based AI. This is like the chat GPTs, the Claudes, the Crocs, the ones you kind of chat with, you're all pretty much familiar with. But there's 3 other ways. You can buy services online, any type of product you can think of. You can build stuff yourself, or you can use a workflow builder. I'm going to take these examples a little bit deeper and show you some ways than what I'm talking about. So chat, you're all aware of. You can you send in a message, you get a response. And today people are kind of saying, go do all my work. They're trying to do this. But it basically it requires you to go in, send in a prompt, get a response, and then maybe continue iterating on that. That's one way of using AI. And that's where the majority of people are today. But once you start using that in a certain amount, you start to think, oh, I'd actually like to use that in a different way. I'd like to use this as part of a product that I'm using to solve a certain problem. And this is pretty interesting what we're seeing here. You have something like vertical SaaS, like software as a service. You have tools like Fathom and Otter and all these that are recording meetings. Like this meeting could be recorded, it could be transcribed, and you might have like limited ability to change the prompts that are used there. Like maybe you want a certain type of summary or a different type of summary. And there's endless types of products now implementing AI into the problems that they're solving. Like in the TA space, for example, like a tool like Superhuman, like somebody sent you an email, you can build a workflow within this email client that says, hey, if this email is related to some sort of application working at this company, I want you to just automatically write a certain response and forward it to the person responsible for HR. So simple product use case being solved.
Can I interrupt quickly, Kristjan?
Yep.
When you say verticalized SaaS, can you just explain the terminology there? What do you mean by verticalization?
Absolutely. So you just think about all the products you can buy in the world. A lot of them are generalistic products like, I don't know, Microsoft Teams, Slack, your Google Workplace. These are kind of generalistic products that you use to solve a ton of problems across different spaces. And then there are products which you might call vertical software as a service applications. And these are typically like solving for certain industries or certain problems. Sometimes you might buy a solution that's only solving onboarding or only solving certain tasks within the TA space. So what you often end up with is like dozens of different products solving it. And a mixture of things that people are buying is like you can use your chat-based clients, which is pretty generalistic, but you can also buy a ton of different SaaS products that solve often just a single problem or a very small portion of a problem to get things done better.
All right, clear. Quick question for the audience, people who are watching this now, wherever you are. I know you're all using chat in some way. That's this consumer grade. That's, were you implementing that in, writing job ads and all this type of stuff? Are you using a verticalized SaaS solution as well? So have you bought a product? What is that thing? What does it do? Let us know in the chat whether you're at that point, because I think there's almost a maturity level on this, isn't it? Because the chat came first for sure, and then once the LLMs got into the product making side, suddenly we had verticalized SaaS, these point solutions that are able to do whatever things people are talking about. Yeah, we've got a few people talking. MetaView, of course, one of our friends, Grammarly as well. Bright High, cool, excellent. Yeah, some great products out there that are focused on what we do. Yeah, excellent. Go ahead, Kristjan.
100%. And then there's like, and this is that by far the majority. You're using chat, you're using all these products that you use. This is the majority of what people are using AI for, right? And how it's kind of being applied. But there's 2 other ways that it's also growing in popularity. Like you can build stuff from scratch. Like Morgan Stanley, Like they just kind of got a big team together, developers, and built something that was really built to simplify things around their office, and it's fully customized. It's just like they're building their own products only used by them. And this is typically what some of the enterprises are doing. They just don't feel that there's a off-the-shelf solution, but they really want to get AI into their processes, so they kind of build everything on their own. And then there's the fourth category, which is the space that we're in. So we're definitely biased on that front, but that's kind of the workflow builders. And a workflow builder is sort of like an easygoing build from scratch. It's like you have an idea of what you want to do. You can kind of map it up on a whiteboard, and then you want to use AI as part of this workflow that you've designed. But instead of manually prompting it every time, so somebody applies for a job, and you want to screen their application, instead of manually copy pasting that with the right prompts, like you can have it happen automatically whenever that happens in any system you use, and kind of control how it gets done and how it gets used. And so these are sort of the four ways that these things can get done. You can use the chat, vertical SaaS, build it, or use the workflow builders. And any type of AI solution you're going to be using, it's going to basically fall into these four categories. Now, I'd like to take one or two examples on the workflow builder side to show you some really powerful stuff you can do with that to kind of give people a more exciting examples of how this works. So I'm just going to go into a live demo here. You can see the screen, right?
Yep.
So this is an example of a workflow builder that we've built. There's many out there, so people can pick whatever makes sense for them. But in our workflow builder here, what I'm showing you right now is a process where an individual, you can see the workflow here, has basically been added from a recruitment system. So somebody has an ATS or an HRIS or whatever. It's then had an AI agent screen that individual based on a prompt that's been sent in, all sorts of outputs, and a very detailed prompt that specifically tells it how to screen an application. And once it's done that, it's going to basically create a document with the output of how the person was screened. And so what that means in simple terms is that if you have 100, like here, it's a demo with 100 people that have applied, you can automatically sort them with the score that the AI has given them, the score for the CV, the cover letter, the custom criteria, and if you click any of it, you can see why it got the score based on that prompt. So in this case, you're looking at somebody that's getting a score for their academic achievements, like relevant educational background, whatever it is that you as someone in TA feels is important. And so it's sort of, you could do this manually with each person with a very detailed prompt, but you can also have it as part of a workflow, making sure it happens automatically, and every single column here being an output of that. And it could be everything from like looking at what would be the top interview questions to ask this individual if you would move forward with the interview, the top weakest points, strongest points. And you can even have it create a report on its own, like a report like this, where you kind of have it fill out a Word document that you upload that shows you the full summary of that person. And you can have that sent back into your ATS. So basically, seconds after someone applies, you can have a system like this automatically screen the person with all the different prompts you want to make sure happen and the right models that you want to use, and then send that information back into the system you're using for screening.
Okay, very interesting, Kristjan. Go back to the screen where the workflow is being built, because I think that's the most interesting part for me. Yep. This is super interesting. So as I understand, by the way, folks, people watching this, you got any questions for Kristjan or myself, make sure you use the Q&A feature at the right-hand side of the sidebar. We're going to go to those at the end of towards the end of the show. If you're watching this on LinkedIn, just put it in the comment thread. We've got a bunch of people monitoring those, and we're going to paste those in to the questions as well. So make sure you put it there. Okay, let me just make sure I understand this fully. So I've already got an ATS. This is not. This is separate from what we're looking at here. Yep. I've got a job advert, and what I can do is get all of those ad responses, stick them into something like this, and then I guess it looks like it's a drag and drop type of deal where I can stick in, I guess, some sort of automated agent to do various things. So screen, I guess, maybe outreach, do whatever, and then output into a spreadsheet, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. You're deciding on steps, and you can completely customize this. If you wanted this to start manually, or you wanted it to be a different type of process, you can just drag and drop whatever action you want and add it into the process. Like if I wanted, the second somebody has been screened, I might want to I don't know, send an email to someone, I can just add that here into the process, like
I
building it
love
live.
the visualization of this, by the way, Kristjan. The UX
Yeah.
is super cool. This is really interesting. Okay, the actions, are they in the system, or do I need to create the actions, or what's happening
All the
here?
actions are within the systems. When you get this, and you can, by the way, this is free trial. You just go to the website and check it out if you want to try it out. It's you just everything you can see here comes with the product, so you can just build this step by step. But if you have some integrations, like most of the people watching, they have a bunch of vertical SaaS things they're using. They have like a task management system, so maybe if something happens in the workflow, you might want to create a task in that system. You can just add that as part of the workflow with one click. And you can even wait until that task is completed and then have something else happen. So it's basically like when you mentioned it in the beginning, like when I say we're democratizing these things, like what's really happening, Hung, is that like people are using chat-based AI everywhere, and it's only increasing now that people want to use that AI as part of a workflow, like you're seeing here. But these workflow builders, they're very complex to build. Like you have to be very technical in most cases to actually get these workflows going and getting the value from it. So what our vision is to make it super simple for people who want to build stuff to really do it on their own. So like here you already have like, you want to say a prompt to someone, like you could do it manually, but here you're saying I want to use the CV of the person. You can just say, and where do I get the CV information? Well, you can get it, when you imported the person, you can just get it from here. So you're kind of mapping up saying, okay, all the CV text will go here. So when you're building it, it looks like this. But if you're looking at like a candidate like this one, you can click the actual the agent here. You can see this is the actual prompt that went in. Now it includes like all the CV details, all the cover letter details, all the questions and answers they had. Like it's a very long prompt, but you've automated how it all happens. And you've built like 19 other prompts into it. You said, hey, give me the reason for the CV score, the reason for the cover letter. And you can see here all the outputs. And then you're just saying, hey, I don't like to look at it like this. I want to see it in a document. So you've uploaded a document. You said, this is how I want it to look like. So it's something that anyone can build, Hung. It's just a matter of spending a little bit of time of thinking, what are my pain points? What is it I'm trying to solve? And try and build an automation like this and get it to work completely on your own.
All right, I need a go of it, Kristjan. I'm surprised I haven't actually used it myself, but I could use this to do guest management for Brain Food Lives in future.
Yeah,
So
100%. You can use this for anything. You can use this is for reference checks. This is for a big onboarding flow here where you've built like a ton of things. It could be for TA stuff. It could be for hosting events. You might want to send reminders to people. Like here, like stuff you see in an onboarding form, you could use for these types of events. You might want to say something like, hey, a week before an event, I want to, trigger something. And you can just say, okay, I want to trigger an email to get sent out. And if you want to, who do you want to send it to, the subject, you can write all of this on your own or just get an AI to write it for you. Like it's really easy, but just a little bit of time to kind of get acquainted with what it is that you want to build and kind of, get the feel for what those use cases are. And you
I
can,
think,
yeah,
sorry,
sorry.
Kristjan, I think the first thing recruiters have got to do, regardless of the use case, is that you've got to document your current process, right? Like
Yeah.
you got to really go back, peel it all back, and say what are the basic steps. And then something like this, if this feels like a Zapier type of product,
Yep.
similar to what is it? If this and that kind of thing, where you're plugging in a number of actions and you're creating essentially, those decision gates. If this, then this thing happens, and then those triggers will basically create the automations. So yeah, very interesting, man. Very interesting.
That's 100% how it works. But the difference between us and those tools, like you think Zapier, Make, N8N, whatever they're called, like we want to make it even simpler to use than that, even more simple to build. So how people can get started, like they can actually put these things on a portal. Like if they already have a SharePoint or something, they could put it there. But they can also like the tool comes with its own portal, so you can basically like if people fill this out, like your employees would fill this out or someone else, that's going to trigger the process. So somebody fills out something like, somebody's going on parental leave, they fill it out, then you have a whole workflow that's going to like basically run once that happens. That can run for a course of multiple months or however you want to structure that. And so when people are getting started, like we always recommend like have one use case, one problem to solve. Like that's best. You can always go to like to their website for inspiration. There's like a ton of templates here, and everything here is like live. You can just kind of see how they work, and you click one button and you get it into your own account in seconds. And if you don't have one, you can just create one like and try it out for free. So it's really like easy to get going. But like our vision is really to make the easiest platform to build people to build these things and to share what they've actually built. So like any customer using our product, they can reach out to us and say, hey, we want to turn this into a shareable template, and that can be shared with other people in the space. So if somebody has like an amazing, I don't know, offboarding process that they want to share with the world, you can basically share that, and anyone that gets access to that template can just click one button and get that into their account to get going.
This looks amazing. Question to the audience, folks: what is a process you're currently doing on a manual basis that's annoying you? And having seen this very quick walkthrough by Kristjan, that you think actually, yeah, I'd love to be able to implement something like this. Is it sourcing? Is it ad generation? Is it onboarding? Is it rejecting candidates? Tell us what it is. Let us know what it is. Candidate offer process. A classic one, sourcing, of course. Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Jen. Yeah, lots of really interesting implementation. Like I think sometimes you need to see it, Kristjan. So congratulations on you to understand, and the design team. I'm sure it wasn't you. Not to say I'm sure it wasn't you that designed it. No, that's an insult. But probably you employed someone with really good UX and UI skills. But I love the visualizations. I even love the graphics that made it look like super friendly and easy to use. And yeah, we have to remember that a lot of the use, how we encounter AI, chat based, it's text based generally. Build it yourself. It's like actually quite technical, even though it says you can just talk to the machine. Yeah, you can, but you're still looking at a lot of complexity. Whereas here, it feels like drag and drop, big library of actions, even like existing workflows that seem to be aligned to recruiting that you can just drop into flow and then presumably customize as you see fit. Interview scheduling. Yep, lots of things. Registration of events. Yeah, there's loads of little workflows. Really. Question for you, Kristjan. Have you spotted, I know it's really early days for you, because I don't think you designed this as a recruiting specific platform, did you? It looks like it's a much wider sort of product. But within the recruiting and HR space, have you identified any particular use case that seems to be popular, people are using?
100%. I mean, already what the people are kind of writing up here is like top of mind is typically top use case that people are thinking about as well. But there is definitely like screening is a huge one. Like people are trying to spend less time on screening. We put together like I think, and I can share these slides all afterwards. But we put together like the top ones that came to mind with TA, what people have already been building. We put together like this simple slide that I can share with folks, but like there's already been like a ton of processes around this. You can see it here, like there's screening, there's interview scheduling, there's onboarding, there's offboarding, there's offer delivery. Like there's a ton of things here. It's basically to map up like, how do you do your work? And the part of the work you're doing, like which is most time consuming, hard to do, where you really want to amplify it and get it right. And start building the workflows for that, and take a look at what other people have built. Like how are other people doing it? Where does it make sense? How do you want to view it in a perfect world? And so that's really one of the things that we've seen. We've also had, and I think it's also, actually, I want to also come to this point of what are you actually allowed to do? Because products like these, you can build some really powerful automations, but what are you actually allowed to do? So I wanted to really just briefly get into that point, Hung, with like, what can you do with AI and what can't you? And there's these 4 elements that we look at. It's like you as an individual, like you shouldn't automate the responsibility of what you're doing. Like you can't say like, hey, the AI told me this. Like use your judgment, but using this as a, kind of amplifier for your work is really important. But even if you have something that you want to build, you might have an employer that has different guidelines and ethics. The product that you're using, like ChatGPT, for example, has certain usage policies that go stricter than other tools like Claude or Grok. And then you have laws, so it's different between countries. And I think you need to find the lowest denominator here between the 4 of these to really make sure you're doing it right. And if I talk about the OpenAI usage policy, for example, it talks about like don't use AI for high stakes automations that can affect an individual's well-being regarding, for example, employment. So like, what does that mean? It means like you can use it for stuff like resume screening, but don't fully automate it. Don't allow people to apply for a job and automatically get hired. Like you can build automations that would do that. And I'm sure that work really well, to be very honest, and in many cases solve a lot of problems. In the there's a lot of companies that want to hire the first qualified person that walks in, not the best candidate in a certain for a certain role. Like if you're thinking high turnover, companies in fast food and stuff, that's often like one of the problems they're trying to solve. So, but even though that's something they might want to build, like it is not something that some of the policies are allowing for. So I think people got to be a little bit mindful as well, that even if you can build crazy automations that work here, like be mindful of it. But I will mention one thing, is that we just it's Tuesday today. Literally this Sunday, we hired a person internally. We had a normal recruitment process. We got all these applications, we reviewed them, we had video interviews, and our recruitment team decided this is the person we want to hire for the role. After that, we felt, it kind of feels unfair that we haven't done like a proper AI screening of all the candidates. Maybe we're missing someone. So we actually ran it. And what was the goosebump feeling that we got is that the person we wanted to offer the job was actually the person that got the highest rating in the AI screening part. So it is an extremely powerful tool if you have the prompts selected right. In this case, it was a huge kind of amplifying moment for us and how we should do it right. People can do it in a different way, but you kind of get where I'm going with this. That was a really powerful moment.
All right, let's talk about the prompts. I mean, I looked at some of the prompts here. You flash them on screen, Kristjan. Obviously, very long and sophisticated prompts. That I think is problematic for a lot of people because I ain't typing all that. So what is the scenario here? Have you got like prompts that are already in the library that people can drag and drop in, or are you recommending people kind of generate their own prompts based on a prompt that you offer? You prompt to prompt, so to say. What's your sort of suggestion as to how people can use this on the prompt side?
So 100%. When you do the prompts, and I actually had some slides prepared for this as well. Like the prompts, when you use it, like if you're talking to ChatGPT regularly, that's just a prompt. When you're building an agent, you can make it do a little bit more. And also like just the prompt itself needs to be thought out, and then all like how you configure an agent. It's basically 3 categories here. It's 3 categories. And if I look at them, it's the prompt, it's the system instructions, and it's the structured output. We have templates for this. We also have private templates that we share with our customers. So if you're a customer, you can just chat with us, and we'll actually, like the prompts we use for the demo that we showed you here, we share those and we help people iterate them and get them right if they want our help for it. If not, they can also do it on their own. And I'll share some insights here, for example. So you might have a prompt, like if we split it into 3 categories, you might have a prompt that's saying something like, it's split into 5 parts. We want to evaluate the candidate. You might want to look at CVs, cover letters, academic records, questions and answers, and the job description. That's the prompt. Then you want to have, and this is the most important part, system instructions that really tell it, how do you then do that? Like, what does it mean to actually, if you say you want to rank someone on a scale of 1 to 10, what does that mean? How do you get a 1? How do you get a 7? If you don't tell the AI will come up with that on its own. So the system instruction prompt is typically multiple pages in length. It could be up to 10 pages that we've seen people using. And people need to get a little bit of understanding of how they work. They can use like generalistic prompts out of a template that we share with them. But like to really make it powerful for certain roles, it does require people to learn a little bit about the prompts, how they're broken down, and update them for the roles they're using to really make them better. And that's going to result in some summary like this, where you can kind of see, this is the person, this is the score they got for the CV, the cover letter, I have some custom criteria, the total score, and the reasoning for each. And I think the part that's really missing in a lot of things that people are using is like, they're missing this control of actually using the AI and being able to manage how it gets used. So if you kind of see like here, like every single individual that's been screened here, you can click anyone, like just in here, and you can see like when he was created, when it was added, when it was screened. You can see all the the documents, the cover letters, the whole thing here. You can see all the prompts and how it's used. So it really gives you traceability on what you're doing, how you're doing it, how it's working. And that's sort of the one thing that makes it a little bit different in how we're doing it, Hung. In our processes, they only work when you add people to those processes. Like it's not a process where it's like a plane lands and the light goes off. It needs to be like a person going through the process, which I think makes it a little bit simpler for people to grasp how these things get built when they're using it.
Very good. Listen, I love the slide deck, Kristjan. We've bounced inwards and outwards, but every time you flash it up, I'm taking a screenshot. Folks, would you want to see Kristjan's slide deck? I don't know whether it's public available or whatever. Probably isn't, but I'm sure it is now since we're broadcasting it.
I'll share it with anyone if they want to afterwards. I can send an email in the comments or something.
Yeah, drop a note in the comments if you want to see Kristjan's slide deck, because I think in itself, I think it's super interesting, particularly just getting your thinking right about what you got to learn in different parts of this process. I think super interesting. Great, just pop it in. We've got somebody monitoring who's saying yes on this, and we'll ping you once we have that. Same on LinkedIn, by the way. If you want to see Kristjan's deck, just drop a link, sort of drop a yes in there. We've got someone tracking who's doing this. We'll get it out to you. Let's rewind back, Kristjan. This is super interesting, but let's do some origin story behind all of this. 50, you call it 50 skills. When did this start, and what was the thing that you were doing? And now moving into this recruiting and TA space, tell us about some of the rationale behind that as well.
Yeah, 100%. So, I mean, how it all started is basically based on me finding the problems on my own. Like I joined a startup, we raised tens of millions of dollars. We went from like 20 people to 100 people to 200 people. And I was basically trying to build structured processes for everything. Like, how do you do it? Like, how do you kind of scale that up? And when doing so, you kind of go, okay, you try to solve it on your own. You use like a spreadsheet, you use, your own head and people, and then you go, okay, I need a tool for this. And you start searching and you start trying, and you can't try free. You need to book a demo, like the story. We all know it. And I think after doing that for a while, I kind of felt like I'm missing like a tool where I can just kind of list up all the stuff that I want to get done at work and have an overview of all of my processes, all of my work. Like I want it to be something that I can have privately for certain things that I can share with my team for others. And I don't want it to work in a way that I need to call a developer and get charged like $200 for doing a change. I want to be able to like take stuff that I map up on a whiteboard and put it to life. So that's kind of how the team got together. I was smart enough and lucky enough to get one of the best designers I know in the world to be joining the co-founding team, which is why everything looks super nice. And to be honest, like the kudos of this thing is the team it's building it. That's not visible on the podcast. We have like 20 something people that have been hacking at this thing for a long time. And that's really the reason why it is quick and snappy and doing all these things. But the vision is kind of simple. Like if you're familiar with the tool Canva, like when Canva came out, it was really hard for people. Like it kind of empowered the non-designer to do designs. And I want to empower we want to empower the non-developers to be able to build workflows that work just as good as the stuff that the technical nerds have been able to do for the last decades.
Yeah, and you know what? The number of people on the call saying, "Look, I want to interview scheduling and stuff like this." With this, it looks like you can do it. Like you don't have to actually implement a separate tool to do it. This can actually get it done. And you said you can try this for free. Qualify this, Kristjan. What does that mean exactly?
Anyone watching, you can go to the website right now. You can click Get Started. You can click Sign up the account. You don't need to put in a credit card. You just put in your email, play with it, find a template you want, add it to your account. Like it's 14-day free trial, and then if you like it, you can sign up for it. If not, then it's hands off.
Yep, perfect. Extreme. I've just shared the link down there. A wonderful name, by the way. Give it a shot. I mean, you can't sit there and complain about sort of lack of resources or lack of budget for stuff. You blast this out and see whether you can get some speed in your process. And I guarantee you, if you can demonstrate it, then budget will be made available for this. Okay, cool. Where are we with the product itself in recruiting, Kristjan? Is it out there? People are using it in different ways. Like, where are we with it?
Definitely. We have we have people building all sorts of amazing things with this. And to be honest, like what we're trying to do, like we're seeing communities coming together, talking about how they're sharing it, building their own kind of social groups and sharing with each other what's there. We had an amazing event the other day in Iceland where we had I think we had 200 people just for that event. And we had something like, which was, I think, the best one for me. And I actually have just one slide for it. We had like, and I'll share this again later, but we had a person that's called Emmeline. She doesn't know I did this slide, by the way, if she sees this or if she's here. But she did a presentation how she turned this sketch here. Like she had a sketch for, I think this was an onboarding journey or something. And she kind of brought it to life and kind of showed here like how it worked and what it did and how the benefit, like how it's saving her like a bunch of time. And this is really what we are building this for. Like it's really about like people being able to take something like this and turn it into like an automation that's actually working. And like we didn't need to like do it for them. Like that's really the part that gets us excited. And we're collecting these stories. We're doing a bunch of pro bono exercises with like certain people that are like, I have this problem, could you build it? And we're doing like workshops with them and sharing it. We've also hosted like workshops where people kind of show up on their own and just build it, and we're just not trying to mini facilitate it. So there's all sorts of things that we're doing this space. But the real value, guys, it's really hearing the problems. Like we're all trying to get work done. We all have different types of hard priorities that we want to solve. Those are the things that we really want to hear about. So if you try the trial, just let us know what you're trying to solve. And if you get stuck, let us know why you got stuck. Like that's really how we want to, like if you're getting stuck, other people are getting stuck. We want to learn about that so we can solve it. Like that's really how we want to build this thing together.
Yep, cool. Let's bring some of our sort of early users on screen and hear from them sort of what they've done with it. Because one of the things I think is true about this type of automation is that there's some classic use cases that everyone's going to know about, but then there's going to be some weird ones that basically fixes this problem. And so we've got one of our guests here, Nigel York. Nigel, wonderful to see you. Can you quickly introduce yourself? Who are you? What it is you do, Nigel?
Oh, audio is off on Nigel, and Nigel, you're muted, I think.
Can I unmute Nigel? Let's try and unmute him. I don't know why he was ever muted. How strange.
Yeah.
Nigel, I'm going to uninvite you and I'm going to invite you back. Okay, let's see whether that helps. I think this is one of those like unnecessary. This is a feedback to Crowdcast, by the way. One of those unnecessary like feature builds where we default people on screen to being like muted. And it's like, yeah, why do that? Do you know what I mean? It's like, get people on and talk. That's okay. Okay, Nigel, can you hear us?
That better?
Perfect. Yeah, perfect. Great. So Nigel, can you quickly introduce yourself? Who are you? What it is you do?
Yeah, so Nigel York, I head up a small talent acquisition team for Rystad Energy based out of Norway. I've been in recruitment for about 18 years, started agency side in the last 7 or 8 years working in-house.
Fantastic stuff. And Nigel, you've been an early kind of experimenter with this workflow builder. Can you tell us a little bit about what you've been doing with it?
Yeah, so we came to this very much from the screening as the problem we were trying to fix. We saw application numbers going up quite at a high rate, and if I think about where my team can really add the most value, that was something that I wanted to give time back to the team. And we explored a number of these kind of, I guess they're vertical SaaS products that you mentioned, Kristjan. And we have one native one in our ATS system. But for us, where it fell down is that all it was doing was comparing a CV to an advert. And for me, that doesn't really give you the results. And if I go back to my agency days, I wouldn't work on a requisition where the manager didn't speak to me, told me what he was really looking for. So what we found with 50 Skills is that we're able to go beyond that kind of word matching of a resume to a job description and customize the prompt and actually, I guess, articulate really what the manager is looking for and then we've found that the results are far more predictable and higher quality than just comparing a CV to a job advert. Because we all know as recruiters, we don't put everything in the advert.
So this is really interesting, Nigel. So you're saying that basically there was like a basic function within the ATS that you're using, but you weren't getting the results you're looking for. 50 Skills was able to just give you more of a sophisticated way of doing it, and presumably, sort of your customization is putting in the specific prompts on the job itself to say, look, actually, we need people with this type of background or this type of thing, and that's basically how. Yeah, good question from Jasmine. Like, are you changing the prompt? Is it something that you're looking from a company perspective, or is it a per job perspective? How does all that work?
Yeah, so it is a per job. So there is work required, and we are still kind of finding our feet here. And, I'm not a professional prompt engineer, so there are iterations of this to get the best output from it. But it has to be done on the job level. Otherwise, it does become too generic and doesn't really add value. But if I think about the 70,000 applicants that we reviewed last year, it's a relatively small amount of time to put into kind of articulating these prompts and go to sleep and let the AI do part of the work for you. Not take over the work, but certainly helps us a lot.
Yeah, fantastic. Going further forward, do you spot other opportunities to use this workflow builder? What would you sort of think is okay? Let's do another thing that you want to kind of get more efficient at.
Yeah, I think a lot of the suggestions that have been running through the chat and booking interviews and sending out offers, there's lots of opportunities here. But I think, one step at a time. I think there's still efficiencies that we can draw from this screening. When it comes to the prompt changing, I haven't discussed this with Kristjan. Maybe it's not possible, but we have these kickoff meetings. So why we can get an AI summary of that kickoff meeting, can that not be the customized prompt that's used? So we're not having to kind of go in and build these prompts. It's just, an automated step from that conversation that's happening. So
I love that idea, Nigel, to have like a prompt to automate the prompt. And this is how it gets more sophisticated, right? Like how can you take it one step further and further and further? And if it's time consuming to do a prompt per job, like how can you save time there? So it makes perfect sense.
Fantastic stuff. Good luck, Nigel. Keep us in touch with how you're getting on with it. But I love the idea of people just embracing some of these tooling and just getting on with the build. And the friction point previously was that it was just too complicated. So by use of a design and great values, looks like 50 Skills is getting us there. Okay, great. Let's bring on Erna. She's going to share her experience. Let me see if I can get that to happen. Don't worry about the questions, folks. We're going to get to them shortly. If you have any questions for all of us, do use the question in the Q&A feature. So should I say on the right-hand side of your screen, we're going to get to them in about 5 minutes, okay? If you're, again, watching this on LinkedIn, which I know lots of people are, put it in comments. We'll copy and paste those questions in and we'll deal with them as they come through. Okay, we should have just invited Erna there. Hopefully you get an opportunity to come on, but that's okay. Let's see whether we can get Brian on at some point also. Maybe we do that actually.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That's okay. We've gone a bit longer than probably we wanted to, but let's get Brian on. Hopefully we can get Brian onto the screen. And he can hear us and see us. Erna, if you're watching this, we're going to try and get you in a bit later, okay? So just give us a moment. So here we go. Here's Brian. Hello, Brian. Can you hear us? Oh, no.
He can't hear us?
I don't think he can hear and see us. No, I don't think so. I think we have the same problem.
We can hear him, but okay.
He's refreshed somehow.
He's...
Hello, Brian.
Okay.
No.
Brian, can you hear us? No, okay. He can't hear us.
That's okay. No worries. We will we'll move on. Erna, we're going to get you back in. Whilst we're doing that, we're going to hit some of the questions, and then we'll see sort of how we go. There's a few questions I can sort of ask straight away from you, particularly when it comes down to GDPR and all the rest of it. I know you flashed a screen to say, look, here's what you can and cannot do. But how can you provide assurance for users that what we're going to be doing here is going to be above board? Oh, here's Erna now.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi, Erna. Can you hear us? Yeah, she's muted again. This is the same as before. Wait, just unmute her. I think.
Can you do that, Kristjan?
I just did it, but she's still muted. I don't know what the Crowdcast thing.
I don't know. Let's remove again. Erna, we're going to get you back in. I think
yeah,
this may be a bug on the system. Yeah, let's see. We can try again. That's so annoying.
Small technical difficulty, guys. It's okay. We'll get to the questions later as well.
Dealing with the GDPR though, so people presumably,
yeah,
I can misuse this and breach GDPR, can't I? So it's not.
Yeah, she's still muted.
Why
do you have an option to unmute her? Or
I tried to do it. It doesn't seem to allow me to do so.
No.
That's so weird.
She's still muted. I don't know.
Yeah, we can't do it. Don't worry. Let's go ahead and answer the question. So we go to I can misuse this product and breach GDPR, correct? So it's not so, because the nature of it is that it is allowing customization. So it is on the individual user rather than you guys saying, look, everything you're going to do is going to be.
I would actually argue that most products in the world, you can breach GDPR. If you think about chat-based AI products, you can put anything into the chat. And if you put in the type of content you can't, then you're breaking it. The same goes with pretty much every other product you can think of. Like if you have your user using any HRIS or ERP or whatever it is, like people can put in content and use it the wrong way and break certain regulations and rules. The same applies here. And so I think you're building a workflow. You can design it in a way that it's hard to do. You can have like a form that people fill out that answers certain types of questions. But the good thing here, which is different about ChatGPT and all these other products, you literally have a paper trail of how you're using it. You see the workflow, what's triggered, when, where, how it's built up, what the conclusions were. If you're happy with it, you can build it. You can even have stuff like anonymizer that anonymizes information about text that's inputted before it goes to the AI, and that could be used with technology that's a non-AI. So if you're worried about like private information, like addresses or people's names or whatever it is, there's workflows around that as well, Hung. So I think that's the part that gets a lot of folks excited about this. Like you can really customize it to work, and you can have the paper trail of how it was used.
I love that. Okay, Erna, it looks like it's something that you've got to just do a checkbox on accepting the invite. So this is a workflow issue. So rather than just accept straight away, there's apparently a checkbox to say you want to come on mute. I'm going to invite you again. If you can sort of check that box before accepting, then maybe this works. Thank you, Nigel, for updating on this. I think Nigel had the same issue, actually. So that's actually something worth briefing Crowdcast on.
Yeah, we can hear.
Yes, we're here. Great to see you, Erna. Can you quickly introduce yourself? Who are you? What is you do?
Yeah, so I'm an HR specialist at the Blue Lagoon in Iceland. I have been working in HR for 7 years, and I work mostly on quality management and technical solutions within HR.
Fantastic stuff. And in terms of how you've used some of this workflow building, how have you? What have you done, Erna, and how's it helped?
Mm-hmm. So we have worked with 50 Skills for quite some time, and we have been using journeys to automate workflows and processes, but we have not integrated the AI function yet. We're working on integrating it now into our streaming process. But we have had a very good experience with automating other processes. We have been just working on finding simple low-hanging fruits to begin with, and then we're just going to continue building on that.
Fantastic stuff. In terms of your experimentation, what have you learned in doing some of this, like the good and bad of it? Like, can you take us through sort of your own sense of what was easy to use and what was maybe was difficult?
I think what has been very positive with this is that we're able to like minimize how do you say it, like things that fall in between. We're much faster to catch those things and to not have to send all emails manually or even integrate other systems that we're using into Journey so that the Journey can itself fill in maybe like a form that we're using in another system to send it to a different department or something like that. So that has been very both positive for individuals, for managers and employees, as well as the organization itself.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Final question for you, Anna. Is it just you doing it, or have you got other people to also start building this? Like, I'm trying to figure out internally within a business. Do you end up actually, Kristjan, you can help with this.
Yeah.
Is it you see like one controller doing the automation, or do you see it actually multiple people doing their own stuff? Like, how do you think this works? But let's have Erna answer this one in terms of her experience first.
Yeah. So to begin with, it was just me. I was just like experimenting within the system and lots of trials and errors, and of course I've had throughout this whole journey since we started working with 50 Skills, we've had great support from the 50 Skills team. But now we have there are two of us working mainly in the system, but we see that we can implement the system not only within HR, but within different departments as well. So I see that maybe in the future that we would have more teams that would be like in the system working on their processes.
Yeah, and exactly right. Go ahead.
And it definitely starts, Hung, I think, with like, there's usually like one person within an organization that has one problem. It's like, hey, I want to use this to solve this, right? And then time moves forward, and it depends on how it happens. But we're seeing like a lot of different organizations having multiple teams, even with multiple accounts, using it for multiple different things that they don't even always know about, even internally. So it's sort of like, if you think about like a spreadsheet tool, like people are using spreadsheets for all sorts of things. And the same kind of applies here. You can really, it's how much do you want to automate?
Yeah, and I like the fact that other people can use it in a more free way. If you centralize it, it just seems maybe a little bit different from the ethics of what this is. But at a micro level, it could help someone just do something really small, and that could give them that percentage of productivity back. Erna, thank you so much for the example. Good luck with the automation. Keep us in sort of updated how you get on. Be great to get an update from you on this.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Erna.
Cool. We're going to try and bring Brian on just real quick. I know we've got questions to ask, but we want to try Brian maybe on a different browser. Let's see. Brian, you need to sort of unmute, by the way, before you accept. Let's see whether this can happen. And yeah, we've got a bunch of questions. We're probably not going to get through them all, but let's see how we still got 5 minutes, so we've got time to go through. Okay, let's have a look at the questions anyway. Oh, here's Brian. Hello, Brian. Can you hear us? Oh, no.
Wait,
oh, yes, he's all right.
Can you hear me?
Yes, it works. Perfect.
Okay, great.
Great, Brian. Great to see you. Can you quickly introduce yourself? Who are you? What it is you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a function which is a really big mouthful, which is the head of recruitment, talent, and AI within Wortel. We're a managed services provider in the Netherlands and Belgium. And I oversee all operations regarding recruitment and recruitment marketing.
Yeah, fantastic stuff. Great to have you on the show, Brian. Can you give us a sort of your example of how you've used automation in some of these workflows?
Yeah, absolutely. So we mainly use it for interview scheduling, and automating offers, which we send to HR to review. Also for, which is not perfect just yet, but we are also doing it to review the CVs, but more on a company type of level. So what that means is that we're not scanning personal data, but more, okay, what type of companies have they worked for, and what can we render from that? And one of the dreams is that we can use our EVP to match with the current companies to see whether or not they have matching values and determine whether or not somebody is the perfect fit for our culture, yes or no.
Yeah, really, really interesting. And interesting you mentioned about interview scheduling. I think most people actually commenting here that was hitting. And was it the first automation you used, Brian? Was that the pain point?
Yeah, so with us, we call it calendar Tetris. Because yeah, we have hiring managers and technical consultants that have very busy agendas, of course, and matching 3 people within a week, that is at least our estimate, is sometimes a bit of an ordeal. So for us to have a tool that can automate this for us and upload it into our ATS, so you connect everything, is something that is really, really helpful.
Quick question, Brian, and feel free not to answer it actually, but there are like special products out there that do interview scheduling. You mentioned
Absolutely.
Calendly, for instance. Why was the automation better than those?
Well, I think that's a really great question, first of all, because our vision within our recruitment apparatus is that we do everything ourselves and that we have control over every single process that we do. And if you look at the possibilities from 50 skills, you can loop every single process. So if you look at any form of data entry as a recruiter, you should be able to automate it at the moment with the use of AI, whether it's, and I use the word AI, but I mean workflow automation or agentic workflow automation. And if you are in control of every single thing you do and you build it yourself, you can, in my honest opinion, build the best candidate experience that is tailored to your organization. Because if you have a candidate-driven strategy, your processes should at least be in the order to do the same thing as your strategy. So the process needs to be the same as your processes.
No, I think I understand perfectly what you mean, Brian. It gives you basically the ability to mold the experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Rather than if you're just dropping in point solutions, of course, the default they're going to go with it is may just feel differently. So this is a very interesting sort of a very interesting thing to think about.
I would like to add one more thing, if that's okay, because
Please.
if you use different vertical SaaS applications, if we're going to stay in terminologies, of course, I think it would be rather expensive. You know, if you look at a one size fits all, you can do it all from one single thing or one single application, which should ultimately give you more oversight on the things that you're doing, but also save you perhaps some money at the end of it. You know, we're a relatively small organization. We are 600 people. So yeah, budget is always one of the things that they're looking after. So plus, and I would like to mention that, is that we started using 50 skills in, I think it was December last year. But if you look at all the things that we are automating already, and we have been using AI for a longer period already, but We have done 100% of hires in Q1 as compared to the total of 2024 with the same team, just by automating more processes.
That's it. Really, really interesting. Brian, we're running out of time, so we've got to let you go. But thank you so much for joining and letting us give us insight onto your experience there. Final point from Brian, super relevant, obviously, folks. If you have pressure to do more with less, we're already maxed out. You can't do it without automation of some type. So get cracking with some of this stuff. Kristjan, we've run out of time to hit all the questions. I'm real sorry for everyone who popped those questions in. We're gonna email those questions back, responses back to you. If Kristjan, you're all right to do that, and we'll get you that deck to everyone who said they're gonna watch it. Before I let you go, Kristjan, though, what's next for you guys? What's down the pipeline that people should be interested in going forward?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, for us right now, we really are working on getting more use cases out there in the templates so that people can really see more use cases. We only have a few dozen templates on the website right now, but we're envisioning a much larger segment there. So we're working with our customers to get those things out there. We're like making sure that all these small nudges in the product get better. And like for people, if you're trying it out, if you're using it, if you get stuck anywhere, if you have a use case you can't solve, like send it our way. Like we honestly prioritize stuff based on the feedback that we get. And I mentioned before, like we really want to make this something that you can go in there and you can build what you want. Just like if you map it up on a canvas or a whiteboard, you could build it in this tool. That's the goal that we have. That's what we're going to do.
Fantastic stuff, Kristjan, and welcome to the world of recruiting. I think this goes bigger than recruiting, but there's so many things that we need to do, and I love the fact it offers this flexibility. There's always going to be the verticalized SaaS. There's always going to be big enterprise options, but I wonder if you're really interested in differentiating how you do recruiting, something like a workflow builder is going to be a very powerful option for you to pursue. Okay, that's about it. Make sure you connect with Kristjan online, and of course, give it a go for free. 14-day free trial, no questions asked. Give it a shot. And then we'll see how we go. I'm gonna do it.
Try it out. I need to hear what you think about it.
Yeah, I need to sort out my guest acquisition process. So that's gonna be one of the things. Okay, that's about it, everyone. We'll let you go now. Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll be in touch next time.
Awesome. See you guys.